My name's Lori, 22 years married, and I have two kids. Well, I guess they're not kids anymore. I have an 18-year-old, almost 18-year-old daughter, and my son will be 20 in November. So they're, young adults. Son's off to college, daughter's a senior. And I graduated USC with a degree in occupational therapy, worked really hard for that, and then decided to stay home with my kids. I was fortunate enough to do that. And now I work as a health and wellness coach, specializing in chronic illness and health, wellness, food allergies, food restrictions that a lot of people get from doctors, that sort of stuff. It's funny because my background really is so much based in medicine and psychology. So when I decided to get my life coaching, it just felt right because now I have this history of like 15 years of illness. And there's so much that I had to learn because a lot of it, you have Eastern versus Western medicine. And I really had to rely on both to get me through. When one failed, I would go to the next. So I know a lot from both sides, and I understand from a patient's point of view. So it makes me, easy to talk to, I think, for some people, that they know that I understand. And I just love what I do. It was about 10 months after my daughter was born. I was really active. Worked out every day, had more energy than I knew what to do with. And one day I just was completely fatigued, like beyond anything I'd ever experienced before. And I thought, something isn't right. This is just really weird. Well, it continued and it continued and it continued for like months, and then it continued for a year, and I started going doctor to doctor to doctor, and nobody could figure out what was happening. Finally got diagnosed with Epstein-Barr virus, which I thought, great, this is my problem. I'm going to deal with this. I'll rest. I'll do everything that I need to do, and I'll get past it. And what happened is I didn't really move past that. The fatigue got a little bit better, but I started getting all these other symptoms, and there was just so much happening in my body that now I'm diagnosed with chronic fatigue and thyroid disease and Hashimoto's, and I had a pituitary tumor, then I had a brain hemorrhage, and then I had multiple food allergies to the point that there was nothing I could eat. And back then, it was just so hard because there was nothing out there for people that had gluten sensitivities or anything. So I'm having to read every label and figure out what every ingredient actually means. And I just remember calling my husband, crying from the market, going, I'm never going to eat again. This is horrible. So this went on for years. And every time I was diagnosed with something, I thought, okay, this is it. This is like the magic thing. And over time, I started realizing, these are just symptoms of something deeper, and I'm going to have to figure it out, but I have to find the right doctor. So I started going to naturopath, and he did a bunch of testing, found out that my heart and my brain and my myelin sheath and my collagen and there was something else, they were all being attacked by my body, which was really scary. But it's like, okay, what do you do? And he said, so we need to reduce the inflammation in your body so that everything can calm down. But there's this whole list of foods that you will never be able to eat again. So that was pretty bad. So I walked out of there in tears and thought, like, okay, I can deal with this to a point, but there's more to this. Like, there's got to be more answers. This isn't like what's causing all of this, what's causing the inflammation, what's causing the food allergies. There were just no answers. In the meantime, I'm having horrible stomach problems. I go to my GI doctor, and I've seen him for years and I love him. And I said, hey, I just got these tests back, and it says that my heart's being attacked and my brain and my myelin sheath and all these things. And he looked at me and he said, your brain and your heart are being attacked. He said, but we need to test you for Lyme disease. And I was like, why? And he said, because those are common things that happen in Lyme disease. And I had never heard this before. I'd never had any doctor. It's now 11 years later from my first symptom. And I'd never had a doctor mention that to me before. And so I said, okay, how much is this going to cost? Because it was just one bill after another for so long. And I think it was like $800 for the testing. But I just said, okay, fine, let's do it. And it came out positive. And took that to my naturopath and showed him, and his ego was a little bruised that he didn't figure out. So he said, let's test you again. Had to pay another $800 to go through a different set of testing, came out positive again. So long story short, that's when I found out I had Lyme disease. It was literally 11 years later. It was incredibly frustrating, and there was a lot of anxiety and depression that comes with that. It's the not knowing that brings so much fear and uncertainty. So just even knowing that I had an answer, although I knew that it wasn't, a good diagnosis, at least I had an answer, and then I could go from there. But it's like, what am I going to do now? So it's so weird how people come into your life for a reason. There was somebody that had worked with my son a while back. He used to do commercials a little bit way back when. And one of the girls' mothers heard that I had Lyme disease, and she contacted me and she said, you need to go to this place called the West Clinic. And it's in Idaho, and Pocatello, Idaho, actually. And so I thought, okay, let me look into this place. I looked into it, and it's all alternative medicine. Basically, it's holistic and alternative in the sense that they do a lot of IV infusion therapy, like high dose vitamin C, hydrochloric acid, hydrogen peroxide, like a bunch of different vitamins. They do oxygen therapy, ozone therapy, major hetoamotherapy, where they take your blood out, put oxygen in it, and then they put it back into your body, and it takes a certain amount of time to flow through your system. During that time, it's going under certain lights that kill viruses and bacteria. So it's like amazing. So I decided after a few months, okay, I'm going to save up the money. I'm going to go there, but I can't go and stay. I've got 2 kids at home. So I'd go for a week, make sure that my kids were covered with school, go for a week, get treatment, stay in a hotel, come back home, and then 2 months later, I would do it again. And I did that every 2 months for 1.5 years. It does go dormant. It doesn't go away, but it went dormant, like they couldn't detect it anymore. And I was actually feeling amazing at that point. But I will say that I'm struggling now, because when you have certain stressors in your life, anything that you have, whether it's Epstein-Barr virus or herpes or Lyme disease, things that stay dormant in your body can come out when you're stressed because your immune system is suppressed. So we've had some things happen lately. My mother-in-law just passed away in the last 2 weeks, and my dad passed away last year, and there's been so much that I just found out that my Epstein-Barr virus levels are very high right now. So I'll probably go back and get more treatment, but now I found somebody out here in California, actually within a half an hour from me, who does these type of treatments. So I don't have to travel, which is great, because back then nobody was doing it out here. Oh, you've got Yolanda Hadid, and 2 of her children have it, Avril Lavigne, like you said. There's a lot of people out there. It's just that it's becoming more recognized, because initially it's not easy to diagnose. The fact that I even got a positive test is shocking, because a lot of people don't. They don't come out positive for whatever reason. I had just had it so long chronically that I was at very high levels, and I also had 3 co-infections, which can be worse than the Lyme itself. And so what happens is, when you're bit by something, and honestly, I don't even know how I got bit, when, what, like I never had the bullseye rash. I don't remember anything. I just know one day I was okay and one day I wasn't. And we do know that it's a tick-borne illness. We do know that you can get it from mosquitoes. So you got to be really careful. When you go to certain states that have all the mosquitoes, you have to be careful if you're going like runner. I used to be a runner, but I never ran up in the hills or anything. But there's ticks up there and stuff. For me, it's day to day. I mean, there's some days, like today wasn't a great day for me. I was really, really tired. And when that happens, I don't think clearly. Sometimes I have trouble word finding. Forgot my husband's name one time. That was really embarrassing. I went to introduce him. I'm like, this is my husband. He just looked at me like, you are kidding me right now. The hardest part is that so many of the symptoms are not visible. So, they call it like it's an imitator disease. It mimics a lot of different diseases, which is why it's so hard to diagnose. But it's also invisible, like you said, because so many things that you're feeling are within. You just have a feeling of being sick, like you feel ill, like you have the flu 24/7. For me, it was, like I said, fatigue and loss of critical thinking and words, that kind of stuff, because different people have it in different areas of their body, and my brain was being attacked. So I have some remnants of that where I lose my train of thought like I just did, or I lose words. But it's also like swollen lymph nodes and just feeling like you have the flu and a chronic fever, getting strep throat a lot. For me, I had also feelings of bugs crawling all over me when I would go to sleep, and I couldn't sleep like for days or weeks, and I would just like scream because I was so overly tired, and the feeling of it was just horrific. And I still to this day don't know what symptom that is caused from. Like, is that parasites in your body? Like, we don't know, because I was diagnosed with parasites all in my bloodstream, including candida, which is common too. So I think it's just, for most people that have Lyme, it's difficult because you're suffering from the inside, but nobody sees it from the outside. Do you know what I mean? So they're like, oh, she looks fine. And you don't want to have to explain yourself to everybody. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to be like the person who, oh, I'm the sick person and I want to talk about this all the time. You just want your close group. Hopefully you have a great group of people that surround you that just get it and that can look at you and just know that, okay, she needs some help today, instead of having to talk about it, because it gets old after a while. And it gets frustrating when people think that there's nothing wrong with you and they tell you that it's all in your head. As far as preventative measures, there's not a whole lot you can do, except if you're outside, if you're outdoorsy, spray yourself down with bug repellent. That's one thing that you can do. There's also certain, essential oils. I forget which ones are good, but there's certain essential oils that you can put on your body too that will repel bugs and ticks and all that kind of stuff as well. Wear long sleeves, wear pants with socks so that they can't attack your legs. And if you feel like all of a sudden you're sick, or if you see a bullseye rash, you need to go immediately to somebody and get on antibiotics immediately, because I didn't do antibiotics. I didn't choose to. I felt that for me, it was best doing alternative treatment. I try not to put medicines and antibiotics in my body if I don't have to begin with. But in the first stages, it is crucial that you get on antibiotics, because you can wipe it out pretty quickly if you catch it quickly. For me, it was already chronic by the time we found out, so there was nothing I could do except to treat it as a chronic condition. And what I did worked best for me. And then as far as my family, I mean, I'm just so blessed to have the family that I have. I mean, I just can't even, I'm going to get so choked up. I'm just really, really, really fortunate. My husband's amazing. And I know a lot of people with chronic illness have spouses that they don't get it. And a lot of them don't stick around, sadly. They're like, I'm out of here. This is way too much. I didn't sign up for this. This is a hell of a lot of money to treat and to even figure out what it is. I had nothing but support from him. He worked all day. He carried the slack when I couldn't. He was amazing. There's nothing more I can say about that. As far as my kids go, they were 1 and 3 when I first got sick. So all they ever knew was that I didn't feel good, but I always stepped up to the plate for them and was pretty much at every event, whether I was feeling good or not. And as they got older and I could talk to them more about it to where they could understand what it was that mommy was really going through, and especially now they completely get it. They're so great. I mean, if I need something, they're like, Mom, what can we do for you? You know, let me make this easier. And it's just been a godsend to have them. I thank God every day. I've been on tons of support groups and Lyme groups, forums, and all kinds of stuff, and they don't stick around. It's too much. It's a lot. And I don't blame them, because being a caretaker to anybody is difficult, but it takes a special person to really stick around for the long haul. And he always said, like, I know this isn't you. I know this is whatever's going on with you, and we're going to get through it, and we'll figure out how to pay for this, and I love you. And there was so much guilt on my end, but his love was everything, and my kids' support has been everything. So incredibly grateful. I mean, I was always a yes person, and I've had to learn how to say no, and that's not easy to do, and I hate doing it, and sometimes I have to cancel. I mean, I had to cancel on you twice because sometimes you're just not in a place to do things, or sometimes, you know, like, I have a big day tomorrow and I'm already exhausted today, better stay home tonight. Like, you have to set limitations. I've had to remove some people from my life, and I'm continuing to do that, and I hate doing that, but you know what? I don't need it. I don't need it. It's not worth it. Like you said, life is too short. I have a certain amount of time in the day. I have a certain amount of time left on this earth, and only God knows his plan for me. And I want to spend it with the people that I love and that love me back. And I have an incredible group of friends. As I've gotten older, I've been able to, you know, really wean down my group of friends. And the group that my husband and I have right now are just beyond amazing. And I know I could go to them for anything. So yeah, choose your friends wisely. You can't choose your family. Thank God I got a good one, but you can choose your friends. It's kind of a couple. The Lyme really attacked my stomach really bad. My gut lining was destroyed. So for me, I still have a lot of lingering issues there, and it's a daily problem. So I would say that's probably my worst symptom. I didn't experience the joint pain that a lot of people get, and for them, I know that that's debilitating. But for me, it's stomach problems, because I know anybody who has any kind of stomach problems, it's like, oh, you got to get through your day, and it wears you down and it slows you down in so many respects, because there's such a gut-brain connection too. I would say probably that and the fatigue were the worst for me. The cognitive stuff is more frustrating, because sometimes I feel like I sound stupid, you know what I mean? Or like people are looking at me like, why can't she remember that word? What's wrong with her? And so I'm more embarrassed and frustrated when it comes to that, but it is what it is, and I can only do so much, and that's a work in progress too. I know that there's things that I can do to make that better. And I'm sure having Epstein-Barr virus right now is not helping at all, because I know that I have been in a really great place since I got better, and now I've, you know, kind of relapsed again, but I'll get back there again. I highly, highly, highly recommend IV therapy for so many different conditions, not even just for Lyme disease. I recommend it for cancer treatment. I recommend it for Epstein-Barr virus. I recommend it for lupus and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. It's great for autoimmune diseases. And that's because vitamin C at really high doses is such an immune booster. And your immune system really is so fantastic. People don't understand. They want to take a pill for this and a pill for that. But if you take care of your body and your immune system is going to do the work to kill the things that are invading your body. So high dose vitamin C is fantastic. Hydrogen peroxide and hydrochloric acid help to kill viruses and bacteria in your system. Things like yeast, things like parasites, things like the Epstein-Barr virus, which is why I'm going to go back and do that. So those are great things to do. Ozone therapy is a type of oxygen therapy. That's fantastic. I did a bunch of that as well. There's also something called neural therapy that I did in Idaho, where they stick they poke you like really fast all over in certain areas, whether it's around the crown of your head or your stomach. And excuse me for forgetting, but there's an ingredient in that literally stimulates your nerves. So like, let's say you did it in your head, it can help your cognitive function. They did it in I have like some scars, and scars can actually block energy signals that go from your brain to other parts of your body, like to my stomach. And I have stomach issues. So if they can break down the scars with that as well, then the signals flow better through your body. So there's just so many things that are out there that people don't even realize. I mean, it's amazing. Oh, one big thing that I do I don't know if I should do it every single day, but I do it every single day. I do an infrared body wrap. And it's like for me, there's different types, but mine's like a sleeping bag. And you get in and it literally warms your body from inside out, and you sweat out all the toxins. So that has really helped, and that really helped in my treatment as I was going through treatment, to help dispel like all the toxins and just flush them away, which made me instantly feel better on a daily basis. God, I almost hate to admit it, but I'm afraid of dying and missing out on my kids' lives. That has to be my number one thing. And I think when you're sick for so long, you always have that fear in the back of your head, like, oh my God, what's going to come next? It's like, I'm so used to being hit with one thing after another that you wait for the next shoe to drop. And I know that that's no way to live. And I counsel people on this. So I know that that's no way to live, but it's also a normal part of illness. It's just the way it is. It's just learning to deal with it on a daily basis and not have the anxiety of it overwhelm you to where you can't enjoy your life anymore. So that I would say that that's my biggest fear, is leaving my husband and my kids, because there's still so much I have left here to do and to experience with them. And what makes me happy? Yeah, my family. Yeah, sorry. Well, my dogs are one. I spend a lot of time with my dogs. I have 4 little guys that are starting to bark. We call it monkey hour around here, right around this time. I think spending time with my family is absolutely number one. I just love them to death, and we have so much fun together. Having a great support system, that makes me happy. I have a couple close girlfriends that are just amazing, and that makes me incredibly happy that I know that I have that. And I'm just happy that I'm happy that I have options now, and that I have answers. And I'm happy that I know that I have chances and the ability to move forward, where at one point I didn't know what my future looked like. So that brings me happiness, knowing that I have more control and that I've got this.